Good evening, and welcome to Kingsport 1851, another one of our ongoing series of Lovecraftian adventures, but this time not in Monster Hearts. Tonight we're going to be doing a little Alas for the Awful Sea, talking about the crew of a whaling ship that will be sent out from Kingsport, which is totally not owned by Deep Ones. What are you talking about? That's crazy talk. That's crazy talk. They'll be equipping out probably tonight and maybe next week, and then hitting the seas, and then in the coming months we'll see what the ultimate fate of the bark Tethys is going to be. So I have a really good cast, including some people who are somewhat new to the Gauntlet, which is great. But first, let me introduce someone whom these things would just not exist the way they do without her. She's been a huge part of everything I've done here. I really am glad to welcome once again Serafina.
Hello, it's me again. I am playing the cook and the believer, Kaylin Fairchild. That's right, another Fairchild. And I'm really excited to kind of get to know her. My so far instinct is that she's just sort of large, and so she would be intimidating if she weren't just so sweet looking. Um, of course, she has two brawn, so maybe don't fuck with her. Um, so I don't know much about her so far, but I think that incongruousness in her appearance is something that I'm like really digging into right now and feeling.
I mean, that is generally wise advice for most of the characters you play.
Don't
Uh,
don't.
so I'd like to welcome back another returning Kingsporter, Agatha, who's playing Olivia Pimpleton, our surgeon.
Yeah, I don't remember if I played a Pimpleton last time. No? Oh. Great.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of my character at all, but excuse me. That aside, I'm playing Olivia Pimpleton. Oh, hi, I'm Agatha. My pronouns are she, her. I'm playing Olivia Pimpleton, whose family is questionably associated with the old ones? Question mark? Question mark? Question mark? That doesn't matter. I am the surgeon of this ship, which is not creepy at all. I am trained for this work. I am here to patch anyone up in case they need it.
That will never happen. I'm sure we're going to have a very peaceful voyage with nothing will go wrong. This is going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. So next, why don't we talk to Alejandro, who's playing Oren Merle Aberton, our merchant.
I indeed will be playing Oren Merle Aberton, the merchant. I'm presuming, maybe I'll be corrected, that he is funding this voyage and also joining it. He also might have some sort of connection to the old ones, given that he's a creature. And I don't know how I'm going to play him yet. I don't know him. I think he's going to be a little bit uh, uh, like dotard. Like he's going to be a little like goofy. I think not goofball, but just a little off. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Thank you.
Play to find out. And finally, we have someone who is playing their first Gauntlet game tonight. This is a great responsibility for me, so I hope you have fun. But let's talk to Scott, who's playing James Foof. Foof?
Fife.
Fife!
James Fife.
Oh my gosh, that's a Y. Wow.
Yeah,
Jeez, I like fonts.
the font on the character keeper is a bit crazy. I'm Scott Ryder. I'm a he/him, playing James Fife, also a he/him. He's the old sea dog, and he's also the confident. He's someone who it's very easy for folks to talk to and be open and honest with. He's very warm and inviting in that way. He's been on ships most of his life. He originally born in Scotland and sailed around the North Atlantic for a while before heading towards the U.S. and the riches there, and settling in Kingsport, where he's been on and off several different ships. And I think that's all I got for him right now. Very excited for my first gauntlet game.
Fantastic. Cool. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about stuff like setting. If you haven't ever watched one of these, Kingsport is in Lovecraftian fiction, not a lot. So we've done a lot to kind of make our own stuff. I'm a profoundly deconstructionist Lovecraftian, so we'll just treat it as a sort of mythology we can dip into and see how that goes. It's the year 1851. This is the height of the whaling industry in the United States. Whaling is a really important and profitable industry. It lit the lamps. It greased the machinery. It was just a phenomenal way to get rich. And we're gonna have most of you be the crew on this ship. Whaling ships did not pay their crew members a salary. You got a share of the profits of the voyage, so that was highly incentivized. That share can be extremely low if you are just a rookie sailor, and it gets higher the closer you are to being an officer. To the point where I have put down that our captain is receiving a 1/8 lay on the profits, which means he will receive 1/8 of the profits of this voyage, which could be around $50,000, which in today's money is about $1.5 million. So 1/8 of that is not bad for a few years' work. Whaling ships took very long voyages, usually 3 to 4 years. They did not call it ports that much because they were very well provisioned and they were expected to operate for long periods of time, thousands and thousands of miles from land. So that'll be fun. Everything's going to be fine. So let's talk a little bit about Alas for the Awful Sea, which is normally a game about playing people on the edge of society in the 1830s in the British Islands, and I am, of course, bending the heck out of that, but it's a fairly good match for both the subject matter and the material, and I fully intend to bring some class struggle issues and other fun things into this game. And hey, in case you haven't noticed, Moby Dick is one of my favorite novels, and that is supernatural as all get out. So we're going to have some fun with this. But let's talk about some of these characters. Each character in Alas for the Awful Sea has a role, which is kind of their job on the ship, and also a descriptor, which is kind of a description of their personality or person. So if we go backwards, we have so Scott, James is the confident.
Yep.
How's that working?
So people will share with me secrets, things that they know, and I will see, how does it work exactly? A keeper of trust. So I can call on favors from them by keeping their secrets and basically giving them back to them, and which means I would never share it with another. It's one of the reasons people find him easy to talk to, is he doesn't often share information, only when it's going to be of extreme value to him.
Yeah, well, Davy Jones keeps his secrets close.
That's right. That's how you succeed on these ships for so long.
So Oren is the creature. I mean, we touched briefly on that in the introduction. Do you have any thoughts on that yet, Alejandro? Or
I am not sure. There's not much that it like the in the game. All it really offers is that you are a creature and you have creature friends. So initially I was going with a Davy Jones type of creature from Pirates of the Caribbean, just because he consisted of a whole bunch of different types of sea creatures. But now I'm kind of going with this. Does that come up at all?
yes, it does. Holy cow!
Yeah. So I'm contemplating that instead. So maybe a kind of ethereal version of that. So when I'm in that form, I'm kind of glowing and floating there. Yeah, and he's always welcome to hug. So
That that sounds good. You're in the right town. You're in the right town. Cool. So Agatha, you are the kinsman.
Yeah, so I'm definitely related to someone. That's a that's my trait. um, blood is thicker than water, and I'm thinking that if I don't know if I should be related to the Fairchild or I guess to Aberton.
Well, we can figure that out in a second. We'll do some bonds in a sec. Okay.
Yeah, but that's my thing, and I just like I'm really I feel like the word here is clan. Yeah, kin oriented. So then it's like whatever is my family. I'm like yes, I that's my a strong sense of my identity, and then also I recognize other people by the associations that I would have with their families as well. So in a way, like people are not necessarily people, uh, or before that they would be their family first, in my estimation.
Very nice. And if you are a Pembleton, it's not like you can't talk to your ancestors on the weekend. And Serafina, you are the believer.
Am. And so one of the things for where is it? I was just looking at the believers deal is sort of, well, the thing says when you have faith, you have need for little else. And so I'm definitely going to stick her in the like folk area, because I think hardcore pagan goes well with the general Monster Hearts feel that we've had before. And I think I just can't play Christian unless I'm really, really feeling it. And lately I'm definitely not. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of, and I think it fits in with the cook thing, that she's just sort of this strong moral background for what's going on, which like I think a lot of times I think about, the people that cook for us and the people that like have our backs tend to be those like moral backgrounds for a lot of what we do.
Well, agape had to do with meals, so.
True.
Yep. No, we're gonna drag a little theology into this today.
Sounds great.
No, it doesn't. Cool. So everybody has a couple bonds on their sheets. What? Well, I think you have like 3 or 4. But yeah, it depends. I'd like you guys to fill out 2 of those tonight, and we'll leave the rest kind of to get filled in as we go. And I don't think I'm going to call on you. Whoever's ready to make a bond with somebody, why don't we start right now?
So I think I'm going to put, I have on here, no matter who is formally in charge, blank is the only one you really listen to. And I think that's James. Just because I feel like, as the old sea dog, as the confidant, it kind of makes sense that like she would listen to you.
Right.
I can't add the name in there though. It's just the VLOOKUP stuff.
That's unfortunate. Cool. What you could do is pick it up and put it down in the notes for now, and then I'll think about how to fix that. Okay. You're right. It's gonna VLOOKUP. Yep. Yep. Cool. That makes sense. Anybody got a bond for themselves?
I have one that I definitely want used, which is that so and so seems to you to be doomed to self-destruction, and I'm very interested to know who that is. I don't have anyone designated, but if you feel like that fits your character.
That would work for me.
Sorry, who?
So
That was me,
mine
just
are
clicked away.
Scott.
Okay, so for James as well. Huh. Interesting.
It's a dangerous life.
Yeah. Agatha, I don't know if you've thought about who you want to be your family member, but if you decide that it is the Fairchilds, I would be inclined to give you either when your temper gets the best of you, you can always calm me down, or I always put a little something extra in your food.
Something extra as in without me knowing, or
No, I think it's like a benefit thing. Like I always give you a little more, or I always give you the better quality, or I always give you, extra grog or like whatever the thing is because we're family.
hmm.
But I just like I don't know which thing you're thinking of. If you don't do that, then I might give you the when I scratch your back, you always scratch back with interest.
What does that mean?
So like whenever I give you something that you want or like help you out, you always help me out in return, but you always give me like a little bit extra. Like say I do give you extra food and then, you owe me money and you give me back a little bit more than you owed me or something like that. Like
Yeah, I think I should be related to. I think I should be related to Oren. So
cool. So do you want the scratch back and scratch back with interest, or maybe even when the temper gets the best of you, you can always calm me down?
yeah, I like the calming down one. That
Okay.
seems very much like something that Olivia would do.
Yeah. Great.
Cool.
so my bonds are like interesting. Um, name someone once pretend to be a big buyer to get you out of a difficult situation would imply a high level of trust.
Mhm.
You think blank is the most attractive person on the ship. It just kind of doesn't really. My guy's older, I think substantially older, so I don't know. I'm sure there were perverts back then, but my guy's not him. Um, you
It doesn't
think,
have to be perverted. It could just be, gosh, that person's pretty.
yeah, but if it was just that, then I don't think it would be a bond. Right? You know what I mean? It wouldn't reach the level of
Hmm.
bond. But I mean, sure. You think blank would make an ideal business partner? Again, that's another high level of confidence. And then blank is a fool set in their ways, and you will open them to new experiences. That one's interesting to me because it's a judgment. It feels like a foundationless judgment, and I can actually it's an opportunity to be wrong or right, I guess. Do any of those appeal to anyone?
I feel like we should have, excuse me, we should have a trust thing
Okay.
because
Uh,
because I would definitely bail you out because I believe this is what we do.
yeah. Okay. All right. That's good. Um,
So
any,
I can have pretended to be a big buyer to get you out of a difficult situation, or I could be. You would think I could make an ideal business partner because I don't care about business. That's so you could just take all the money.
um,
I'm imagining Olivia to be fastidious to a fault, but only in whatever she's interested in. And she has like certain core beliefs that it doesn't seem to be swayed. She's a very stubborn kind of person. So that's the kind of
okay.
idea I
Let's
have.
do you think or I think Olivia would make an ideal business partner.
And what's the reasoning?
because you're studious to a fault, and because I could take advantage of you.
Interesting.
Not that I would, of course. Okay. Of course I wouldn't.
Of course not.
Your money is my money.
Cool. Yeah, this is fine. You guys are all friends. It's
Yep.
great.
I am down with taking either most attractive person on the ship or fool set in their ways from you, because both work for me. She's very pretty, and she's also very religious.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with fool.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. I think I'm going to give you. You always put a little something extra in your food, because like I think you think I'm great. Like you're always like telling me cool stuff. I think you're great.
I was thinking for is it Kaylin? Is that how it's pronounced?
Kaylin, yeah.
For Kaylin, I've got you've taught Kaylin everything they know about the sea.
Oh yeah, nice.
Oops.
Serafina, yeah, you can. I mean, if you want to fill in 3 bonds, we can do that now. I was gonna go for 2, but 3 is also good. Also, some of you do have an extra bond as part of your descriptor, so you might want to look at that. I don't have a problem with you guys filling that one out in addition to any other bond, because those are cool.
Yeah, my special doesn't hit until we're in game, so.
Oh, okay, cool. And the Merle does not. Oren does not have that because.
I was thinking, so the other one I have is so and so is too impulsive. They are dangerous to have around. Does anybody want that? Either that or you know that. And I was thinking Olivia hears the sounds at night too.
Yes, I definitely do.
All right, I'll pick that one.
James, do you mind having bailed me out by pretending to be a big buyer?
That would work. There we go. So I've got 2. I'll hold off on the rest.
All right, I think we're actually bonded, if not perhaps insured. Cool. So yeah, let me give you something first.
Okay.
Here we go. Here's our old friend, Dooley Wise Kitten, which I was freaked out at for a moment because I saw these cards on it, but then I remembered the last time I used it was for a card game. So that's our rule for the party room. We can it's just a dice roller, and but it leads me into another little bit. We should talk about safety. I'm sure by now many of you are familiar with the X card, but that's okay. I'm going to tell you about it anyway because it's my old friend. The X card is our way that we can approach problematic content without actually, having problematic stuff that can hurt people happen, or stuff that's just not fun. If there is content in the game that is just not something you want, doesn't matter for what reason. The 2 times it was used again in a game I ran, it was both times just basically content. You can just say X card. You can try and cross your hands. So, of course, when the cat walks in front of the camera, that becomes a lot less useful. You can click on the X card button on the rule for your party room. You can even just type it in the chat. As an aside, I encourage everybody to use the chat if you need to get my attention during a scene or if you just want to talk about something that's coming up. So the other thing I like to use is lines and veils. A line is something that we're just going to not bring into our game at all. We don't want it. So, just avoid bringing that in. And a veil is something that we can have, but it's going to be off screen. We don't want to go through it all. The line I usually drop in right off the bat is sexual violence. Because, this is my hobby. But if anybody else has a hard line they'd like to put in, we can drop that in now.
Romantic coercion and torture of animals.
You got it. I mean, beyond the fact that you're hunting large whales, but we can, not do that as torture.
Were those lines or veils? I'm sorry.
Those are lines. If you look, I have a safety tab now on the sheet. That's where I'm tracking all this. If there's any veils that people want, I mean, I usually just veil sex because there's plenty of places on the internet for that.
I have a line actually for like teeth stuff. Just teeth stuff.
Okay. Yeah. You mean like two people's teeth? Or I'm sorry, I know that I hate to have to ask that as a clarification, but
like teeth torture removal.
Okay. Yeah. Done.
I used to have a nightmare about that. That's a great one.
Yeah, because I'm like cosmic horror. What's horrifying? I mean, it may never come up anyway, but I just wanted to make sure that it does not.
Right.
No, it's cool.
Wasn't Cthulhu a dentist? Sorry.
I run a lot of Cthulhu games, and the weird thing is I usually put a line for myself about body horror. Even as, I'll gleefully let other people describe their body horror. But for me, it's just like, thanks, no. Cool. Wow. Okay. So I guess now I actually have to do some work. And we can talk about this. So let's talk a little bit about the setup. What's going on? So Kingsport is not a whale fishing town. The main whale fishing towns at this point in America are more than any other, New Bedford, Massachusetts, which basically is just run on whale oil, and you can still see the mansions that were bought there. Nantucket was the original whaling capital of the United States. It has fallen off at this point, but it's still out there. And Cold Spring Harbor on Long Island, somewhat near where I grew up, and we used to do field trips to it all the time. But Kingsport is a shipbuilding town and a fishing town, but they have decided that, hey, we should, we're fishermen, we should get in on this thing. So to that order, a consortium of people have come together, and it sounds to me like Oren, especially since you seem to have a Pemberton family connection, got involved in this. Because the thing is, not only did they not have any industry knowledge, really, it's a capital investment. You got to have the ships. There's a tremendous amount of equipment you got to buy. You got to let people know that you're going to whale. So they've put together the Kingsport Whaling Consortium and pooled 3 ships together. The one that we're going to be concerned with is the bark Tethys, which is a Pemberton family ship. Hey, Kat, you keep saying bark instead of ship or boat or whatever. Yeah, there's a reason for that. I'm not going to get into tremendous lengths about maritime stuff. If you want, read the Aubrey Maturin novels. They're a great read, and you will learn more than you ever wanted to know about 19th century sailing ships. But a bark is basic. So ships were either square rigged or fore and aft rigged. The quick story is, if it's got square sails, it's square rigged. If it's got triangular sails, it's fore and aft. A bark had square sails on the first 2 masts, and the last mast was fore and aft. And the reason for that, the reason why this was a popular rig for a number of reasons to do with performance, but especially among merchant ships, because it required less crew than a full square rigged ship. And so for that reason, barks were very popular in the industry at this point. And so the Tethys is a somewhat older bark, but not as old as the other ship, the Calypso, which is quite old and has been in various Innsmouth families for a long time. So cool. So we have Oren is involved in that. I'm going to guess that both Olivia and maybe James have been longtime hirees on Pemberton family ships. So probably, maybe the way we can start is Josias Pemberton, current member of the consortium, family patriarch, um, fabulously rich man. Well, Kingsport rich. It's not like he's one of the first families in New York, but rich. Maybe meeting with Josias and Olivia. With James and Olivia. Does that sound about right?
That sounds good. I also realized my kin. I got descriptions for my kin. Kind of wanted to.
Oh yeah. Let's hear about your kin.
Yeah, so I'm supposed to decide a couple of things. So, what does my kin prize or desire above all else? And that is loyalty. What do my kin hate or fear above all else? I wanted to open this up to discussion with you, Alejandro. What do you think? Or at least, what is our kin's weakness? I think that's an interesting one.
Well, the Pembertons apparently are incredibly wealthy. The Pembertons, right? Same last name as yours, so that family, right? Incredibly wealthy. I am also incredibly wealthy.
So do we fear destitution?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. That's a good one. Are we better than other people? Are we better than our lessers?
Certainly, this is what I have been told. Whether it is true or not has not been scientifically proven.
It's sufficiently true, I think. Yeah.
Excellent. So, do we fear being lowered? Like, I feel like there's a punchy one-word description that would.
Ruin?
Sure. Ruin is a suitably dramatic word.
It's very 19th century too.
Okay. I was thinking like, yes, we fear ruin, but we also fear like I'm really friendly with James and Kaylin, but it's clear that we don't that it's known that I'm not crossing that line, I don't know.
Right.
Ruin is good. Let's go with ruin.
Yeah, I think we both understand what we mean when we say ruin. It's not just financial ruin, but also
reputation,
like social standing. Yeah, station. Yes. Oh, what is our kin's weakness?
What is
greed?
What's that? Greed? Yeah, I think that one's too easy. I think.
Is it?
Greed?
Fresh
water. I think we are
definitely
greedy. There's no question about that.
And it's very easy to take advantage of that, right?
Okay. All right, let's go with greed.
I feel like this kind of like morality tale-esque story seems very apropos for literature coming out of America about this time. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so what are those things again? We fear ruin.
Yeah, I have it written under my thing because I copied and pasted it from the data tab. So, yes. So it's our kin prize or desire above all else loyalty. Our kin hate or fear above all else ruin. Our kin's great weakness is greed. And I think our kin's most important tradition is that at a certain age, the children of our kin are thrown into the water. And
frigid winter water.
Yeah, and sometimes we survive and sometimes we don't, and sometimes we return.
The strong ones.
Renewed. And I suppose that would have been you.
renewed. I was renewed.
Well, certainly.
I feel.
You and I are not
renewed.
the same, even if the same blood flows through us.
Okay. So the tradition is called the renewed, to be renewed.
Is there something like even more melodramatic? The renewal, than the renewal, I guess. Maybe we can come up with it, but I'll write the description. The rebirth is so Judeo-Christian. I guess by the submersion in water, I was inviting that kind of association.
Well, they did
Hey,
copy it.
I
They
mean,
did
yeah,
copy
they
it.
copied it from you guys, right?
It could be called the embrace.
Oh, the embrace of the parents. May they wrap you in their tentacles forever.
Gross.
I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. Cool. What stat do you think you guys are associated with?
Say that again.
You guys are associated with a stat. Your kin, that is.
I think it's definitely the beyond. That would only make sense.
Yeah. I'm in favor of that one.
Pemberton family tradition. The thing is, the Pembertons of the 1970s, very nice working class fishing family. For those of you playing along with our Kingsport series guide, Jesse A. invented the Pembertons in the first game, and he played a very, very sweet member of them. Cool. Cool. So yeah, so we have Olivia, family member. For that reason, you've been allowed to pursue a surgeon's career. Fortunately, this is the 19th century where even, medical doctors didn't necessarily go to med school or anything. You just hung around a doctor for a while and learned how to do it. And you're not even a doctor. You're a surgeon, which I don't know if that was as big a deal in the United States, but in England it was. A surgeon wasn't a gentleman. A surgeon worked with their hands. So cool. And James Fife. And you've been called down to Josiah's office on the wharf of Kingsport and let us picture Massachusetts in the 1850s, where trains are kind of not happening yet, and the quickest way to anywhere from here is ferry. And the wharf is bustling, and the shipyards are full of workers transforming American pine and timber into the ships of American industry. The Civil War is still 10 years away. And all that entails is wrapped into everything that you're going to do here. So, Josiah Pemberton, an elderly, clean-shaved, high-toned New Englander, from a family that has just increased in wealth every year since the early colonial days, even if they do carry a great burden that they cannot speak of out to anyone outside the kin. Calls you both in. It's like, Livy? James?
Is he like our uncle or something? Or is he my father? I don't know
How
how
do
to
you
address
want it
him.
to be? Yeah, how do you want that to be? I think those are both excellent candidates. Could even be grandpa or, great granduncle or.
Cool. Grandfather.
And James, my old reliable.
Hi.
Well, we're not upon it. The Tethys is getting ready. It is a journey that I know very little about the managing of. Transatlantic trade has always been my business. So, James, the captain of the ship has yet to arrive. Therefore, I expect you to contribute mightily to its equipment out.
I can handle that. Are we crewed up? Or will the captain be handling that?
We're still hiring. We're still hiring. It's an ongoing process. My question to you, James, is: would you accept the position of bosun on board the ship?
I think I could do that. What would the share be?
Uh, right to business, eh?
Scotsman likes to know what he's going to be paid.
In honor of your long service to the family and your many years of experience, and the fact that there really needs to be a category beyond able to quantify your seamanship, I think we could see ourselves as far as a 1/30th lay.
1/15th, and I'm your bosun.
1/15th. Great God, man! Am I to sell you my name, my mansion? What else will you have?
I'll be keeping your kinsmen safe on this journey.
1/24th.
I am your bosun.
Thank God for that. For I do not think I could have gone much further. Very good. Very good. Now, Livy, James, if you wouldn't mind, go down to the boat and see if any of our people have arrived yet. I understand that Oren is here to see the ship. I do not like carrying supernumeraries on my ships. You know this.
Yep.
If you cannot splice and you cannot raise a sail, I have little use for you on a Pemberton boat. But
may be helpful to us.
Mr. Aberton wishes to go a whaling, and he will follow our interests since he owns a substantial portion of them. So you bide him and make sure that he does no foolish thing, nor that the captain does any foolishness to him, or I shall never hear the end of it. At the first post he gets, it will be questions, and the Pemberton finances are solid and strong, but they are no so exacting as they could survive the goings over of some Harvard trained nosy such. So go ye down, make sure that we're not being ripped off by the rapacity of the shipyards.
I shall go forth and do that, and I will meet with Mr. Aberton.
Very well. So he waits and then turns to you, Livy.
Grandfather? And I think I've been like staring outside the window all this time, and finally I turn back.
Yeah, this is a new industry for us. We'll have to take on men that are no so interested in the customs of our family. I'm not even talking about people that are not of the salt. I'm talking about outsiders, foreigners.
Yes.
We must take as we can get, for few men will ship a whale in for the promise of some small profit. There may be more, but you, Livy, can rely on, yes?
Of course, grandfather.
You've always heard the call more strongly than us, and yet you're not salt, so far as I can tell.
No, grandfather.
'Tis a puzzle indeed.
This was ascertained when I was but 1 in 10.
Well, 'tis not well known, but the ceremony is not infallible.
Perhaps. I shall mend the bones, as well as I always have.
There may be on board that ship them such as are of the salt, you know.
Oh?
'Tis a Pemberton ship, is it not?
Interesting.
and 'tis a ship that is being sent out to the very farthest parts of the ocean. Livy, bide you this, there is a point on the ocean that is the furthest point from any land on this entire terraqueous globe. I mean to instruct our captain to reach that point.
I don't think I say anything.
Cool. You're creeping out your own grandfather. Awesome.
I thought he was going to command me to do something.
Well, and there we shall see if the elders have anything to say to us. Or other things that may be beneath the waves. Well, it is not for me to say. I expect you to do your best, as you always do, and make sure that family secrets remain secret.
I'm sure they shall, when all will be facing our Leviathans.
Yes, right, and turning them into profit. Well, if I must say, I must meet with my bookkeeper and possibly a priest. So, why don't you go and make sure that the sick bay is to your liking, and bid thee well and have a good day. And he throws a little salt over your shoulder. Cool.
I feel like this happens every single time, and I just like glance at where the salt was thrown.
Cool. So since Seraphina has enlightened us a little bit about Kalen, I kind of like the idea of down on the wharf, not on the ship itself, but at the hiring office for the ship, we would see Oren and James trying desperately to recruit a cook, since their last cook stormed off for a reason. We'll find out what that reason might have been. But you are now desperate for a cook. That sound okay?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mr. Aberton.
Yes.
We must employ a cook. I know just the person. They are Fairchild, Kaylin Fairchild. I've taught her much of what she knows about working on a ship. I think she would be perfect. We must go lightly. She doesn't approve of the industry of our endeavor.
Okay. Let's find this child. Lead the way, and I'm at your back.
All right, I'll head on over to where I believe Kaylin has been housing.
Yeah, I think she bakes bread for the village. Like that's what like her family has been doing to sort of make ends meet. They're not a wealthy family. So yeah, you approach her house and she's like probably handing off the last of the bread for the day because it's like a little later in the morning.
Miss Fairchild, it is I, Mr. Fife. I would like you to meet.
I look inside the basket and kind of stick myself in front of James as he starts talking, and I'm like, "Oh, there's none left."
And I look at James and I like you know, she's huge. She like fills a doorway, and she wraps her arms around him and is like, "My friend, it is so good to see you. I set something aside just for you in the hopes that you would be coming by." And she like disappears into the kitchen and comes back out, and she has, you know, 2 loaves of like freshly baked bread, and she has them like wrapped in a cloth and hands them over and says, "You can share with your friend."
This is going to fill my belly for sure. Mr. Aberton, would you like to taste Miss Fairchild's wonderful, wonderful bread?
I open the thing and I stick my face in it. Oh, my dear child, you are gifted. You are gifted. And I break off a piece. You must try a piece to Serafina. Or to, I'm sorry, Kaylin.
Oh, I've already had my fill. I ate before the dawn and turned out 50 loaves today.
That's a good business for a day.
Not bad, not bad.
You're
What
a
brings
very
you to my
talented
door?
child.
Truth be told, I've come to talk business. We are sailing out on a new endeavor, and the ship could use the finest cook in Kingsport. And I thought first of you.
You mean you thought first of William and he quit?
Well, yes. I thought first of William and his traitorous quitting of the. Don't get me started. It was just a misunderstanding.
Was it?
Yes, at least the less we go into that, the better. I feel like I need to put that water under a bridge.
Kaylin, do you know what ship that they're hiring for?
I don't think that she does. I think she just knows that there was a whole kerfluffle around another cook who had given up a job on a ship. And she doesn't
Cool.
fully know why.
But what would make you think that the Tethys is a bad ship to sail on?
They kill whales.
Fair enough.
Giant, beautiful, sentient creatures. That is gonna be her chief feeling about that. So you decided, oh sorry.
Oh, I had a question about, because you're like the cook, right? So do you
Yeah.
only make like vegetarian dishes?
No, people she like eats meat. There's just something I think she sees something sort of like extra judicious about chasing down whales when we can just eat venison and cows and other things.
I see.
Yeah, she kind of like sees it as cruel. Um, but yeah, so she leans against the entryway to her kitchen and says, "So you thought of me, and what is this endeavor that you are entered into?"
I will. I'll be nothing but honest with you. This is a whaling endeavor. As you know, I, in my long career, have never whaled before. I like been on merchant vessels. However, this is a first, and I know that you're against it. I know that how noble you think of these beautiful beasts. Um, and who better a person to proselytize to the sailors who take up these jobs, but someone who feels as passionately as yourself? I feel like here in the bakery, uh, you'll have less of an impact. Your voice will be less heard than it would be on a whaling vessel.
So you would like me to join your whaling vessel to convince the sailors not to be on a whaling vessel?
Also, because I love your bread. I don't know if I have made that clear every day when I come and eat your delicious bread. You are literally my favorite cook.
Now you are flattering me.
It's true. It's true.
I will admit that, going to sea again seems a good idea. I just the idea of hunting down these creatures, what are you hunting them for? Is it for ambergris, for perfumes for beautiful ladies, or for adventure, or
It's for the ambergris. It's for the oil.
And the adventure.
I mean, I do understand that, yes, ladies' perfume is made of these, but those aren't fineries that I need in life.
There's a whole world out there. The whole world. Have you been to the Pacific?
I have not.
Oh, there are wondrous people that run along their beaches naked, and um, an assortment of so many different sea creatures that you can um, come to learn and understand and really uh, uh, actually learn from. I mean, there's so much promise. And I assure you, I hold up that piece of bread that I offered you to you.
Mhm.
And I'm like, those naked people will learn much from you.
I feel like this is a manipulate other
Yeah,
action
I think that's a roll.
for sure.
Can we hold for a second here? Cool. Yeah, let's just we're adding a line real quick to
Yeah.
yeah, okay. I'll just, that seems about the best way to put it. So let's just add a little line about First Nations people being
Yeah.
yeah.
It's sort of a place that things can go, but that's not where we want to land.
Yeah, I think I
We're
think I
traveling
will.
more to see their beautiful cultures than their beautiful naked bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even like description of like First Nations people of like, so just think about them. They're all naked. Like that's a very like, it's definitely very historically on point, but that's not a discourse I want to engage in.
I was definitely going from a perspective of ignorance, but I apologize. I fully understand.
No, it's okay. You don't need to apologize. I'm just choosing to take that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you want to rephrase that manipulation angle? Or like the adventuring and stuff?
Yeah, wondrous new cultures.
Yeah.
And perhaps there on the Pacific there are so many new creatures to explore.
Yeah, I think that's actually an angle that might work with her. So I do want the manipulate roll though, because
Yeah. So cool. Manipulate is plus beauty. Yeah. So 2d6 plus beauty.
What's your beauty, Oren?
Am I rolling that?
Yeah.
Yes, you are. I think James started the pitch, but you kind of hit it home.
Yeah.
11.
Oh, you have a beauty of 2, so
Yeah, 13.
Cool. Great.
Cool. So if you do it, you'll take +1 forward, and if you refuse, you're going to be acting under pressure. So
yeah, I mean, I think I'll take +1 forward. I think as you're describing, you like go into this long description of these beautiful cultures and creatures and things, and you can see her eyes start to light up. But she's a little canny, so like when you're done, she's like, "What's my share?"
What share? What is the share? Like, what would we have?
Yeah, what would be a reasonable share for a cook?
I would imagine it. I mean, we're just making this shit up, so.
Yeah.
But it would be on the order of maybe like 100th lay or a 75th lay. I mean, it's still a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
For you, the last cook it was 75, but for you it will be 78.
She glances back at her kitchen, looks out at you, and extends a hand and says, "It's good." Yeah. Yeah,
All right, let's go. And I turn around and like I sweep, like, let's go.
Yeah, does she? I guess she's like she's closing up for the day, so she follows you to the ship to get a look at the lay of the land and that kind of stuff.
Cool. So I think seeing the ship for the first time is going to be an event. I even have questions and stuff.
Oh,
so
cool.
I think the thing to do though is let's take our break here,
Okay.
and take about 5 minutes or so, and take care of stuff, and then we'll be back in a little bit.
Great.
All right, check. I guess this is the point where the camera, for the first time, would pan down the dock to the whaling bark Tethys. It's probably a good place for all our disparate crew to come together, because I'm sure Olivia at this point is headed down. So yeah, So let's talk about the Tethys. Um, I mean, I can tell you the basics of it. It's about 100, 120 feet long. It's got 3 masts. It's black. It's, a good-sized merchant ship, bluff bowed. The hull would be reinforced to survive storms. Um, but, uh, yeah. Let's go with James. Can you give me a detail about the Tethys when you first see it that gives you hope for the voyage?
She's just been refitted with new strong masts and rigging. So as I take into view, I've been on many a ship, so having a good strong mast is crucial, especially knowing that we're going to be heading down to Cape Horn.
And good manila rigging is well worth it. Excellent. Let me see. Oren, can you give me a detail of the Tethys that when you see it makes you fear for the voyage?
So the rigging is that's all the canvases and whatnot,
Yeah,
right?
the rope, yeah.
The rope,
Lots and
yeah.
lots of rope.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of attention was paid to that. Not a lot of attention was actually paid to the hull. So the actual what's in the water, if people were to look at it, it's not. It looks aged. So like on the top it looks nice, but on the bottom it looks aged.
Cool.
But I mean, I just want to clarify, James, we followed all of your recommendations. Just some corners were cut, not too many.
Kalen, what do you see about the Tethys that fills you with foreboding? I give you permission to be as mystic or weird about this as you wish.
Um, hmm. I think that something about the way that it sits in the ocean feels unnatural. Like I've seen so many boats on the ocean, and this one feels like it would rather sink to the depths than ride above them. And it's just this like immediate sense that I get when I look at it.
Well, pardon me for scribbling all that down because that was cool. And finally, and I think this is the obvious one for this question I sketched down. Olivia, what about the Tethys do you see that makes you understand that you are fated to be here?
I think there is a spot on the ship. On the starboard side. It's the left side, right? Yeah. No?
Right.
Ugh. Starboard side. And it's a spot that you stand that is not quite at the railings, but you have to look outside, and that is where there is no wind. If you stand in just the right place, there's no wind, but you can feel your fingers slowly start to go numb. This is the sensation of the embrace.
Are we? Do Olivia and I stand there as we watch people boarding and loading?
You're muted.
God damn it! You try and practice good mic hygiene, and then you press the wrong button. There would be stevedores and and other dock workers carrying stuff on board, and a young African American man comes bounding down the gangway. Says, looks at the four of you, and then looks at James like, "Mr. Fife, my name's Bill Walker, sir. I'm to be your bosun's mate."
I can't hear James.
Oh, is it off? Sorry. The switch on the mic was off. What was his name again?
Bill Walker.
Mr. Walker, welcome. It's a pleasure to meet you. Welcome aboard. Have you met the rest of the crew yet?
Well, sir, and to be honest, we still are assembling the crew. I think is how Mr. Pembleton asked me to put it.
Yes, it'll be your and my job to get some of the supplies ready for the voyage. So when you are ready for that, let me know.
Oh, of course, I'd be happy to show you about the vessel. Are these to be our crewmates?
Mm-hmm. We have Miss Fairchild here, our ship's cook, Miss Pembleton, our surgeon, and Mr. Aberton here is helping to finance this voyage.
I
Oh,
would like. Oh,
no, go ahead.
Did I
Go
get
ahead.
everybody's
I would like to.
position right?
I would like to step forward and just regard him. And I want to know if I know anything about his family.
Interesting.
This is the I know your kin.
Ah, right. Is that a roll?
Yes.
Because as usual, my cat has decided to position himself in exactly the wrong way for me to see anything on my screen. Thank you, Shadow. Yes, you're great. This isn't Russia anymore. You're not allowed to always just pop in. You're not on point, dude.
Okay, so I'm gonna roll plus brain, which is 2. Okay, so I got a 10. Wow,
Oh, wow. That's cool.
that's interesting. So on a 10 plus. Hold on, let me scroll down. Sorry. I know that family secret.
Ooh.
Ooh.
What is the secret?
Oh, wow. Okay. The Walkers are a family of Massachusetts freemen. They've always been free. And come on, buddy. Seriously, man? I'm trying to run a game here. They're whalers. They've always been whalers. They set sail on the first Nantucket ship. And the fact that Bill Walker here wasn't on a whaler, that is interesting. But they are whalers, and he's not making a big deal about being a whaler. But That is their secret. They have been running that in the family for a long time.
Okay. I'll walk forward again. You have strong arms and a strong back.
Well, I thank you kindly, ma'am. But we all must be strong to do the work of the ship.
I'll nod and then float away.
Can I just need a minute here?
She's not a serial murderer this time, but
Cool.
um,
Yeah. So, Kaylin,
I think I step forward and extend a hand and say, I would like to be involved in any planning that you have regarding the supplies of food for the ship.
well, I'm sure you'll be happy to know that we've already taken on several hundred pounds of salt beef, and I think we just loaded in some barrels of hardtack today.
I think I can probably do a little better than that. And she strides off towards the ship.
Well, no, please. Far be it for me to try and don't make anybody's life. Mr. Fife, do you have any instructions, Mr. Aberton? You're to come on our ship. I guess I'll have to find you a cabin. I suppose you'll have to take the first mate's cabin.
Or the captains will be fine.
Well, I would think that the captain would be in the captain's cabin, sir. Not that I mean to contradict you. Perhaps you're not a nautical man.
We'll see.
Yes, sir. Oh. Good thing I'm just a mate, because obviously everybody knows their business better than me. Well, Mr. Fife, the rigging has been put up according to the plans that Mr. Pemberton forwarded to us. But if you'd care to inspect it, I'm sure that we did something wrong, sir.
Let's go make an inspection.
Yes, sir. Have you ever been on a whaler, Mr. Fife?
Never a whaler, but many a vessel. I've been sailing since I was 16.
Well, sir, you'll note a few features that are peculiar to the ships of the whaling fishery. If you look there upon the mast above the tops, you'll see a crow's nest there on the top mast, cross trees. Other merchant ships think them to be a foolish extravagance, but I can assure you, sir, when people are doing 2 watches in the baking sun or in a freezing wind off the Cape of Horn, you'll appreciate the comfort of such a thing. I don't know what the captain's business will be, but so it's been told to me that on a whaler we will have lookouts posted at any hour convenient, and the captain will probably find most hours to be convenient.
Yeah, that is my understanding. Day or night, as long as the moon is out, we will be looking for whales.
Yes, sir. And when we do find them, we shall use these boats, and these whale boats. They're 30-foot long and clinker built. They're a little dangerous, sir.
Dangerous how?
Well, sir, I've been given to understand that approaching a 60 or 70-foot long monster that has had several sharp irons stuck into him, well, that does tend to rub a few of them the wrong way, sir.
You think they don't like it?
I would say, sir, that they are most deadly fear of their life, and so they do whatever they need to protect themselves. Have you ever seen a whale up close, sir?
Not a live one, no. I've been at the docks several times as, of course, vessels have been unloading, but they've already been processed.
Well, I've spoken to a few men what had been on a whaling ship. One Hand Luke, who likes to visit the Old Man Tavern.
One hand Luke with the one hand?
Yes, yes. As
Yes, I
opposed
know.
to yes, unlike Two Hand Luke,
Yeah.
who also has the one hand. I've never quite understood that though. Given that it is his proficiency at cards. Well, sir, he lost his hand a whaling. Uh, the It seems, sir, that the tail of the whale is a most prodigious flail or mace when swung with all its might upon five poor souls in this boat composed of an inch and a half thick pine. But 'tis not to be worried, sir. We have spare boats.
Well, that's good, and hopefully our captain will be bringing on some strong and brave and fearless harpooners, the
I
men who will be going out in these ships.
That is the rub of it, sir. The boat steerers or harpooners. The ship must have one that is more than capable of tossing the iron. They are hard to come by and command respect and payment, of course. Have you found any such men for our vessel at this point?
I have not yet, just come down. The crew who's been hired have already been brought aboard, but I'll be assisting the captain as needed to bring on a fearless harpooner.
Yes, sir. I I find it somewhat strange that we have not seen or even heard who is to captain this vessel yet.
Tis definitely strange. Normally, I would have already know the captain.
Well, I expect it's because of the nature of the commercial interests that have backed this ship. Perhaps they have not yet settled on their man, and it must be difficult when it's a committee decision.
No one makes a decision like a group.
Now, if it were to please you, sir, I could go and talk up such connections as I have upon the shore, and to see if there are any likely men who are passing through Kingsport. Most just go straight on to New Bedford, but every now and then some poor fellow takes a tumble or goes a bender in Boston or Salem, and well, who are we to turn away a man in such dire straits such as that?
Mr. Walker, do you have good connections?
Well, sir, I am a Kingsporter born and bred.
You said that as if you had more connections than others do, and I'm going to use my inside knowledge here.
Okay, lay it on me.
I got an 8. All right, so I won't reveal any secrets of my own, and they are more open to me than expected, Mr. Walker. And I will learn an additional secret about him.
Well, sir, truth be told, once upon a time I did partake in a whaling vessel myself. 'Twas a mere short cruise up to the Greenland fishery, which is no longer so profitable as it has been in years. Though I understand that one of the ships of our employers, the consortium, does intend to try and revive the North Atlantic fishery if they can. I don't know. The Certainly the Pembletons and the Godwins catch more fish than any family in either Kingsport or Innsmouth. I have shipped a whaler, and I do know through my family some harpooners, and I could put the call out to see if such would come if they thought that the lay was good and that the crew was professional.
Well, be off you. That sounds like a task that we must take care of as quickly as possible.
May I have one more word with you, sir, before I depart upon this most important errand?
Certainly.
'Tis the matter of the ship's discipline, sir. 'Tis our department as the boatswain and his mate. Do you intend to run this ship to a hard order, to a military firmness?
I would like you to do that, whereas I will be a little softer on the crew.
I see, sir. I have an
I
aversion.
find that they trust me more if I'm
I see.
a bit
So
more delicate.
I understand. I am to be the bounder who rounds the men up in the streets, and you are to be the constable who hears their tale.
Yes.
Well, sir, I should point out, sir, I have an aversion to flogging a man. I don't like to do it. I'll do it under your command, sir, but I find that it is almost never necessary upon a commercial ship where we're all interested in the good profit and care and success of our voyage.
It should not come to that. We're not the British Navy here.
And thank God for that, sir. I had a uncle who was pressed by the British.
That is a fate I would never wish on even my enemies.
Well, 'tis worked out as well as could. He owns a tavern now in Kingston. I
Good
understand he
tavern.
does very well in rum. Well, sir, I'll off myself to various low end departments, but fear you not, I shall not drink much. Cool. Very, very cool. Okay, so the rest of you are going down below. I assume James goes up into the rigging, which he can do because he's born to it. And yeah, let's see Kalen in the galley.
Yeah, so I make my way down into the galley, and I'm sort of looking at the things that they already have, sort of in, and thinking about what I can do to make this as pleasant a journey as possible.
Is the
And
galley well appointed, or
what's that?
is it well appointed, or?
Well, like you said, they have sort of hardtack and salt beef, but I'm trying to do a sort of an inventory in my head, and I'm thinking about how long we'll be at sea, and thinking that it would be good to get to like some dried beans, some dried peas, that kind of stuff that I can like sort of reconstitute on the fly. And I also am thinking that it might be possible for me, depending on how long we have until we set out, to like dry some fruit, which is a thing that they didn't really have access to, but she has a strong feeling about.
Yeah, they'll take barrels of limes and lime juice, that sort of thing, for the
Yeah.
antiseptics. And
Yeah.
the so that you know, the captain and those officers that can afford to will lay in their own private supplies because they do not wish to eat, salt junk for the entire voyage.
Right.
So
Yeah. So she's just sort of like taking a look and sees that, there's some things that she needs to get a hold of for herself. And is kind of like preparing for that eventuality.
So while you're banging around down there, a small boy, dark skinned with black hair. I don't know how. Well, you've sailed all around the world, so you would guess that he is from India.
Mm.
He's maybe 12. Comes walking in and is like, "Oh, I did not see you, ma'am. Forgive me for intruding."
Oh, it's quite all right. I was just familiarizing myself with what we have available.
Are you to be? Are you to be our cook?
I am. What is your name, young man?
I'm Ali.
Ali, good to meet you. I'm Kaylin Fairchild. You can call me Cook. Miss Fairchild is also fine.
Yes, ma'am. I have not shipped with a woman as a cook.
Hmm. Well, you'll be shipping with at least 2 women that I know of on this voyage.
Oh, that is a peculiar thing. I think
It
it should
is.
be I think it will be a most pleasant change.
Would be you. Well, I certainly hope so. How long have you been aboard?
Well, I've been sailing on ships. I suppose it's 4 or 5 years now. I think I'm 12.
You have the look of someone who is 12.
Well, that's good. It's good to look it is good to look like what you are trying to be, I think. For otherwise it would be a deception and that would be a wickedness.
Mm, it would indeed.
I am made to be the cabin boy. Normally the captain would bring me along, but in this case my last captain, Captain Jameson, told me that I was to go with the Pembertons, and so here I have come.
So this is a different ship than the one you were on before.
Yes, I sailed on a different Pemberton boat. It was it was the Marie. That's a small ship, a brigantine.
Have you done much whaling?
I have never been whaling, no, ma'am. Though I have heard some stories that there were people who may be distant kin to me in the South who would occasionally hunt whales upon the Indian Ocean, but I have never been whaling. I did not grow up near the water. I came down because my father was trading with the India Company, and so I came to Bombay and went and shipped out.
There you are.
Yes, I like the Pembertons better than the East India Company.
I would imagine, yeah, you can totally walk in whenever you want, Agatha. I would imagine that the Pembertons are less strict than the East India Company was.
Well, they're both strict in their own ways. I guess everyone has different customs.
That is very true.
And I shall now glide in.
Do we know each other before at all?
I didn't set up a I did set up a history with you. I was going to offer one.
Okay.
Well, actually, I was going to offer one of two, which is either you put a hand in when it mattered and helped me save a life, or you have been beside me and has seen everything I've seen, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I like both of those. Whichever one
Same.
you're more. What's that? Yeah,
Which is why
one you're more into. Yeah. I feel like it would be very like a Fairchild to help save a life.
We can go with that.
Yeah.
I wonder whose life he saved.
Yeah. To think about it.
But in which case, we definitely know each other.
Yeah. Yeah. So I turn and say, "Oh, Olivia, I didn't get a chance to say hello to you on the docks. Are you shipping out as the doctor for this boat?"
I am indeed the surgeon. Hello, child.
Yeah, Ali is just kind of backing in a corner. He is distinctly weirded out by you. Oh, you must be Miss Pembleton.
That is I.
I welcome you aboard, ma'am.
And who are you?
I am Ali. I'm the cabin boy. I am to act as the galley steward, and I suppose I shall assist you in cases where the surgeon needs an assistant. I doubt we will ship a proper surgeon's mate, for we have not the crew space.
Excellent. Do you have a steady hand?
Not right now, ma'am, but yes, I do.
Yes, you shall.
Okay.
This looks quite equipped. Looks like a full stock.
Yeah. There are a few things that I would like to get in to avoid the sorts of illnesses that come at sea. I have some dried fruit and other canned things that are about my house that I think would be a good addition.
Yeah, I'm like picking it up and sniffing it.
The last thing that we need is scurvy and other illness above the boat. It's not a pretty thing.
Yes, I'm surprised, though, that you have agreed to come aboard. I thought you were against whaling.
I am against whaling, but I was convinced on the back of the idea of a grand adventure.
A grand adventure.
Mhm. You know me, I never could say no to a large and beautiful world when it was offered to me on a plate. And I've been
Yes.
too long on land.
The depths of the unknown, it does call to one.
It does. It does.
Deep. Well, child, you'll follow me then?
Yes, ma'am. Are we to go to this? Are we to go to your station, your surgery?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Why don't you tell me about your surgery? Is it creepy? Is it clean? Is it just Spartan? Is there just not enough, nearly enough material there?
I think it's very organized in a way that is hard to understand at first. It's like you go in and maybe there's like stacks of books that like you have to like walk around and stuff, but everything has its place. And I think when we walk in, I start explaining that to
Cool.
Ellie.
So as you go down the decks, you have to go through what would be called the gun deck on a different kind of ship, but here it's the barrel deck basically, and you can see all the implements that are being loaded aboard the ship. I'm not even talking about things like the harpoons, who the harpooneers will provide, or the lances, which the mates will use, but like there are big, broad, spade-shaped knives on poles. I mean, there's just a lot of sharp implements everywhere. But then you get to your sick bay and everything's fine, right?
Yeah, I think when we pass by, I study them and then I'm categorizing them in my head. And then I also turn around to look at Ali.
Ma'am, I was told by Mr. Walker that these are used in the removal of the blubber from the whale and the cutting up into pieces. But it seems to me that whalers must have difficulty counting above 6 or 7.
Their strength is in their brawn, not their arithmetic.
Yes, ma'am. I simply meant that they would lack the. Your your surgery is right this way, ma'am. Cool. So, Oren, what are you doing on board?
I have been walking around inspecting, making sure everything's up to par, and yeah, with my vast boating knowledge, which amounts to having just stepped onto one.
Cool. When you go down into, so most ships like this had what was called the great captain in the cabin in the back. That's where you would have the fantail windows that you could look out at the, at towards the direction the ship was leaving from. Um, and so when you get there, you see there's a carpenter measuring things off because all the walls in this part of the ship they're just little they can just be thrown up and taken down whenever they need to be. So he's measuring out the cabins for the mates and everyone, and looks up and like, "Oh, I did not see you there, sir. Are you someone sent from the owners?"
Yes, I am funding this expedition. Uh, where explain to me this process.
Well, sir, I am the carpenter. I'm Mr. Anagnos,
Hmm.
and the walls will be put up by me. I would say me and my
I need a uh, I need adequate space.
adequate space. You're to
That
you're to ship out with us, sir.
of course.
I mis not I you'll forgive me for having mistaken you for a landsman. Uh, what is it? What
I
is to
will
be your
not be. I
position?
will not be. I will not be throwing any lances. No.
Oh no, um, what job is it that you are to do? Are you one of the mates, sir?
I will be overlooking, ensuring that everything goes as planned, and that my uh, investment is properly treated.
Oh, I see, sir. Uh, hmm. He's like looking around and he like takes out his measures, chalks something on the wall, like, hmm. Well, sir, the thing of it is, sir, um, the mates all rate a cabin. That is what I was going to put up. The captain, of course, has the use of the great cabin and a sleeping room, and then there's the place where there is the privy he will
Where is
use. And
that? Where is that? Can you show me, please?
well, we're standing in the great cabin, sir. I'm going to put up the walls along the side. I must confess to you, sir, they're not opulent. Um, yeah, I
No,
don't know what
I
sort
don't
of
need opulence. Not much, anyways.
I don't know what sort of apartments you keep, sir, but these I'll confess to you, sir, the cabin shall not be much larger than your bed.
Mm, yeah. No. I I need I need a I have 15 coats that I will be bringing. Um, I have well then there's the reading. I need a reading desk. I will need a reading desk and uh there's the day bed and then the night and then the evening bed.
Well, sir, I suppose if you are supernumerary and here in the representing the interests of the owners, then why, if, like any officer, you'll have some use of the great cabin. I suppose it depends on whether or not our captain is like to walk the quarterdeck at all times, or
I
is he
slap
be
him
like,
on the back and I go, "Wonderful! I know you'll provide exactly what I need." And I pull out of my pocket. I pull out some bread, freshly baked today, and I hand it to him.
I feel like you're manipulating someone here.
I am making a friend. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, this is you definitely hit the trigger. I think he needs you to roll beauty here.
12.
Cool, cool. All right, cool. Um, so
The,
he nods
the,
and like, well, sir, I can squeeze and perhaps I can put up a room in the wardroom. I'm sure the mates won't mind if they lose some of the space of the wardroom. Um,
we only hire.
well,
We only bring competent men on this ship. I'm sure of it.
um, yes, I'm sure that will be the way of it, sir. Well, Theophilus won't let you down, sir. I shall. He just sort of stares, like clearly trying to figure out how to put this puzzle back together.
Yeah. Good man. Good man. And I walk off.
Cool. So you guys spend some time putting the ship to rights. Um, James, do you see anything that troubles you?
Say that again.
I was asking James if he saw anything when he went up into the rigging that troubled him.
All seem to be good in the rigging. I wasn't concerned. The crew who's on board seems to be doing a good job of prepping the ship. And I don't think Mr. Walker's come back yet, and we still have no sign of the captain, so that's of course concerning me.
This is totally not because there's a chance that we'll have a new player next week who might
Right.
take the captain playbook. It's totally not that. That would be meta. Um, Yeah, actually, does anyone want to have a scene in this part, or should I just forward some time along? Because I got some stuff that's going on.
I'm okay if we forward time. I don't know about anybody else.
Cool. So, a couple days go by. The ship continues to be provisioned. I think the carpenter has several meetings with Mr. Aberton, each one, each one causing him to return with the very puzzled look on his face and the slowly dawning fear that he will have to explain all this to the captain, and his realization that there is nothing adequate that could be said. Um, Viv, you you're asked to come down to see your grandfather again.
All right. I arrive.
Olivia,
Grandfather.
how do you feel about the vessel so far? How do you feel about the voyage?
It is adequate.
Well, adequate could be a problem. We have a substantial amount of the Pembleton family capital invested in this venture.
I was not put in charge of the equipping of the ship, merely in charge of the surgery, which is adequate.
Okay. Olivia, my darling granddaughter,
Grandfather.
I feel that we must take certain steps as to encourage the success of our venture, even if they feel painful and humiliating to our family.
What will you have me do, Grandfather?
He like kind of sighs and stands up and like spins his globe, and this says, "We need a witch. We need a witch to do the blessing. We need a witch."
Oh. Do you require the services of Phoebe?
Phoebe does not like our family so well anymore, but she is the most true of all that lineage. I don't know.
Is
I
there
hate.
another?
Well, not unless you go to Innsmouth Town. And frankly, I've had enough of the Godwins having too much say in this matter. Just because they're Innsmouth. Just because there are people. I no. As much as it pains me to deal with a Greenwood, I think you should go and talk to Phoebe.
Of course, Grandfather.
You know that she'll want something. Do we have anything? What about... We have a cook, don't we?
Indeed we do.
Well, you know that Phoebe Greenwood can't cook to save her life. Unless it's a potion or some poison to take a man's senses.
Forgive me, Grandfather, but I believed that we needed a cook aboard the ship.
I'm not saying feed her the cook or give her, but I'm saying you have to butter these Greenwoods up. They never listen to sense. It comes of living in Dunwich Town.
I think this is the first time that on camera Olivia has ever looked so puzzled. She doesn't quite understand these turns of phrases. I shall find Kaylin Fairchild.
That's good. Fairchilds are disturbing to me in some level.
They are of the earth.
Maybe they may have something of the forest in them too.
Well, that is not her fault.
didn't see where fault. Yes, yes, child. Please, please go and see what Phoebe Greenwood will take to bless our adventure and to give the good fortune of both land and water. The day would come that when a a ship of salt people would, well, go do this. I'd rather the humiliation than to hear that you'd sunk to the bottom of the ocean.
I look very puzzled at that, but I walk off in search of the kitchen, in search of Kaylin. Do I find you in the kitchen or somewhere else? Scullery.
I think Kaylin has returned home, and she is dragging a bunch of stuff out of the stores in her house. Like she has all kinds of like pickled vegetables and fruits, and she has jams and all these things that she was like, well, I'm going to be at sea. I might as well bring all of this with me and feed it to the crew. And she's got like a list, and so like she's sort of like frantically getting things together at her house and figuring out what she has to buy elsewhere.
Kaylin.
And she like looks up at you and like is like covered in dust and all this stuff because she's been down in her stores, and is like, Olivia, what can I help you? Sorry, apologies. I'm all aflutter trying to figure out where I left the strawberry. It's got to be around here somewhere. I know I didn't eat all of it.
I will take out a handkerchief that I embroidered myself because this is apparently what I do. And I'm just gonna wipe your face. There's like definitely a huge streak somewhere.
Yeah, because I was just like doing one of these while I'm cleaning stuff. I'm like, oh, thank you. I'm sorry. I'm sure I'm a mess. What can I do for you?
I have need of butter.
Butter. Of course. For what?
For Phoebe, the witch.
You need to give butter to Phoebe?
I have been informed that she desires it.
I mean, of course you can have some. I have some around here somewhere.
I believe I need a sizable amount.
Why did she ask for butter?
People ask for many things, of which they do not understand.
I think butter is fairly easy to understand.
Then why did you question?
Oh, I just wasn't sure for what reason she requested it. I don't know.
Butter, please.
And she like wanders back into her kitchen and comes out with a large wooden bowl that's covered with a cloth, and she says, I made this just yesterday.
Very good. Please follow me.
Okay. One moment. And she like runs back into the house and comes out wearing like a coat over her slightly disheveled clothing, and pulls a cloth around her hair and locks the door behind her as she follows you out.
All right. We're now on the quest for Phoebe.
The Phoebe quest.
The journey to Phoebe.
Okay.
She requires butter.
That was very literal. Cool. Very good. Very good. So, Oren and James. Bill comes back after a day or so.
Poor Bill.
Mr. Fife, sir.
Yes, Mr. Walker.
I must apologize for being away so long. I found that I was forced to take the ferry to Nantucket to see if I could find anybody there.
And were you successful?
Well, sir, I may have found a few candidates of different prospect.
Did you would you like me to interview them?
Well, yes, sir. I suppose Mr. Aberton will have to interview them too, since he is to be the paying and the signing of the ship's papers, and
Yes, he'll want to interview them as well.
in lieu of the captain, sir, who has yet to report on board. Do you think that is unusual? Do you think do you think they're having trouble getting a captain, sir?
I think of course they're not having trouble with that. There, you should have no concern. Obviously, the captain is traveling here. He must have been away with family or some such. I have nothing but faith.
Well, then that's good, sir. Well, certainly with a sailor like you aboard, we'll have little to fear, I hope. Excellent, sir. Well,
Let's gather Mr. Aberton and talk to your prospects.
okay. So, um, there's three guys standing there. Well, I'll get to that in a second. There's three people standing at the end of the dock. Each is holding a harpoon, which is a rather vicious-looking piece of incredibly sharp steel mounted on top of a fairly long pole with, wrappings on the end that a rope can be attached to. As you approach, you see that what you first took to be a man is actually a young African American woman with her hair tied up in a kerchief. And she's staring and looking quite proud at all of you, which is unusual in this time period for anybody who is not a cishet white dude. Um, there's also a rather boisterous looking guy that essentially screams French Canadian. He may, in fact, be screaming French Canadian by singing a French Canadian folk song. And there's one uncomfortable looking New Englander.
Mr. Aberton, these are our prospects. Mr. Walker, would you introduce us?
Yes, sir. The man on the left is Hezekiah Smith, sir. He of the Nantucket Smith, sir. He's a harpooner. Lived these 10 years.
Mr. Smith, well met.
And are you the captain, sir?
I'm the bosun. The captain is not yet here. The captain will be here shortly.
Do you not mean to ship out in less than 2 weeks?
Yes, yes. We've gotten all the orders that we need to carry forward with all the preparations. I have no concern. You should have no concern.
No concern.
No concerns. Do I look like I'm concerned?
Well, sir, I don't know what genial nature you might have upon yourself, for every man's daemon is his own, but I tell you, sir, I find this most passing peculiar. The captain has yet to trod the boards of his own ship.
Mr. Smith, your attitude is quite questionable. Do you doubt this ship? Do you doubt the capacity? Look at this gentleman. Mr. Fife is well earned his ranks, and you seem to be concerned.
And who would you be, sir?
I am financing this I forgot what word I kept using. Expedition. I'm financing this expedition.
Expedition. Well, sir, I've hunted whales upon every sea on this globe. I've hunted them in the north. I've hunted them to the south. I've found them in the South Pacific. I've found them in the Sea of Japan. I harpooned one in the Strait of Malacca once, and that's no small feat, sir.
And who is this woman?
She just fixes her glance at you, and she says, "My name is Elizabeth."
And I point to Mr. Smith and I go, "So is that a lot of harpooning on his behalf? Have you done more?"
"I've done some, sir. Not aboard a vessel as large as this.
Hmm.
My uncle is pleased to own a small schooner, and in the days when the North Atlantic fishery ran better, we would often spend a few months there, trying to catch as what we could, mostly right whales.
Hmm.
But I did once fetch me a spermaceti.
Those are valuable.
Extremely, sir."
Mr. Smith, do they have those in Japan?
"Spermaceti, sir?"
Yeah.
"Yes. That is in fact the type of whale I was meaning to harpoon, sir, for they are extremely valuable and useful. How much of whaling do you understand, sir? You'll forgive my impertinence, but I find most of this to be quite queer."
I don't actually forgive your impertinence. And I look to the third person. And you're?
"Jean-Pierre."
Yes.
You need more? You've never heard of
Yeah.
Jean-Pierre?
No.
Have you not sailed upon the Atlantic provinces? How, you are an ignorant man about whaling if you've never heard of my name.
Hmm. Five? Okay, out of character. Are we looking to hire all three of them, or we're looking for one?
A ship would normally carry 3 harpooners.
Uh-huh.
But, there are other harpooners in the world. These are just the 3 that Bill was able to find on short notice.
Yeah.
We have a few more weeks. We do want to fill these positions shortly. I feel we should, this is out of character, at least hire 2 of the 3. Jean-Pierre, tell us your experience aboard whaling vessels.
Well, sir, I'll explain to you. The French fishery is not one of the great whale fisheries yet. I blame the wars. I am an Acadian. I have been in Canada. My family has been in Canada since before the English even knew it existed. In their day, they trapped beaver. In my day, I trapped spermaceti. It is much the same matter, except when a beaver hits you with his tail, it is a glancing blow. You can walk it off. But when a whale hits you, it is another matter entirely, sir.
Just a little bit different, I should think.
Yes, sir. It is the most dangerous fishing you can do in the world. I love it.
And you've done it? Yes or no?
Have I done it? Has Jean-Pierre Bouchard hunted the whale? This is what you're asking? Le cachalot? I have driven from the seas, sir. If the whales could speak the beautiful language of French, I assure you they would say that if they saw Jean-Pierre Bouchard, c'est nécessaire de fugir, parce que le cachalot ne peut survivre si il voit Jean-Pierre Bouchard.
Mr. Aberton, I'm convinced.
He is passionate, if nothing else.
We will need passion aboard a vessel that we might be up for years.
At the end, it's necessary. It's like having good singers in the crew. It's just how it is done. Comme il faut.
So I'm getting the sense that he's kind of obfuscating. So I'm going to try to read another's thoughts. I think I got a 6. Yep.
Ooh, cool! I get to do stuff.
You get to make it worse.
I do get to make it worse. Say, and you, James Fife.
Me, Mr. Fife. Mr. Fife.
I've heard of you. You are a hireling of the Pemberton, yes?
This is well known.
And this vessel is owned only by the Pembertons, or do they now allow Christians?
Well, I am not one to question their business practices. I will get my share on this voyage, and um, where the financing comes from is not my business.
Because I have heard of the Pemberton. I have heard many, many dark things. But you, I've always heard, is a respectable and honorable sailor, a man that could be trusted, and yet you work for these strange people. This is a thing I find difficult to
I
understand.
do not believe that Mr. Bouchard is going to be working well with us today.
What?
You question the 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 reputation of the Pendletons. That is
Their
enough.
their reputation for making money is exceptional. If you can give me assurance that Mr. Fife, who is an honorable man, if you give me your assurance, sir, then Jean-Pierre
Mr.
Bouchard
Fife,
is happy to
I
sail.
believe we've made our decision. These two will be fine.
Mr. Aberton, we will need a third harpooner.
We have time. We do not have time for one that will be speaking their ill concerns of the Pembletons.
Templetons. If you insist, your insistences have become well known among the crew.
Good. I slap you on the back. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I go to shake the woman's hand.
So Bouchard is like, mon vieux, you will regret this day, and then stalks off. But Elizabeth seems a little surprised at first, and then she shakes your hand and nods.
And then I shake the other person's hand.
Hezekiah Smith. Well, now wait, sir. While I appreciate the offer, there's the matter of the lay.
Of course. What I don't know what would be typical or what.
Well, I think I mean so do you offer, let's put it this way, do you offer him more than his standard, less, or do you try and come to the actual what you think is the going rate? Of course, you don't really know, so
I would try to go lower than what I think the going rate is.
that's fantastic. I believe you are acting under pressure then.
I'm acting under pressure, but business is my perk.
Oh.
Is that not?
Oh, yes, you're right. Yep. That is fine. That is fine. Yeah, let's do that. Cool. So yeah, let's yeah, why don't you roll that? Let's find out how that works.
10.
Wow, you are one handsome son of a bitch, aren't you?
Did you see that picture I got at the bottom there?
So which two do you want?
They throw in extra to sweeten the deal. And yeah, I impress them, of course.
That I like that. I'm trying to. Okay, I think the way that this happens is you make an offer that's almost insulting, and he freaks out, but you just keep hammering at him with point after point, and eventually you just sort of wear him down to the point where he's like, fine, and he agrees, not quite knowing how this happened, that he will accept a lower than normal lay. and he just sort of walks away, shaking his head like, "How did that happen?" Cool.
Mr.
Do
Fife, and that's just how it's done.
you offer Elizabeth the same?
Probably a little bit less, since she seemed less experienced.
She thinks long and hard, and she looks at Bill, who's just kind of nods at her a little bit, and then she says, "Very well, sir. I will be pleased to ship with you."
I put my hands on their shoulders and I go, "This will be a fine, fine." Why can I keep thinking? Remember, I keep forgetting the word
Expedition.
This will be a fine, fine expedition.
Oh, I hope that it shall be profitable, sir. That's the most thing I worry about.
That is how I define fine.
Cool, cool, cool. So I think we should check in with Phoebe, or rather, we should check in with Kaylin and Olivia on their the quest for butter.
I'm just confusingly carrying butter around the town.
Yeah, what is the weather like? Is it really hot?
I think it's probably early spring.
Oh, okay. So it's nice. It's still holding its shape. Yeah, we get to Phoebe's place, which is probably somewhere like in the center of town. I don't expect that.
Does she live in Kingsport or does she live outside Kingsport?
I think she lives in Kingsport.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So, does her house look in any way peculiar, or is she like just going full on masquerade here?
I feel like if it's to the point where my grandfather would say, "Oh, we need a witch. Like this is a thing that needs to happen." I feel like witches are like a common and normal thing, like at this point in time in this specific version of this world.
Well, certainly among your family. I think the ordinary or everyday Kingsporter who doesn't know that, some of the most powerful families in town are actually fish monsters.
All right. Touche.
That was where I was going, but if you want, I mean, I could also see her just being like a public wise woman, charms and in tinctures and that sort of thing.
Okay, yeah, let's go with that.
Okay, cool. So, all right, yeah, she's a healer. Fantastic. So, is there anything ominous about her house, Kaylin?
I think that as you approach, she has she has a fence, and she has marks on the fence that to the people in town they look sort of ominous and foreboding. But if you're Kaylin, you're like, oh, those are marks against evil. Oh, those are marks for safe passage, or marks calling for specific beings to like come and stay, like that kind of thing. But they for sure look foreboding if you're not Kaylin.
Got it. Okay, so inside her house, she's got, racks and racks of spices hanging from the ceiling drying. There's something incredibly foul smelling cooking over a retort. There's scraps of paper and little dolls and puppets and glass jars filled with all sorts of different materials. Yeah. And yeah, so you guys open the door and there's a little pleasant ringing bell. Ding,
Yeah.
and after a while, Phoebe comes walking out of the back. What's Phoebe?
Yeah.
Is she old or young or?
I feel like she's our age.
So youngish, right?
Yeah. I'm definitely
right.
sneezing and covering my face with a handkerchief and then getting dust on my nose.
Olivia Pembleton.
Phoebe.
Huh.
I forgot her last name. Sorry, what is her last name again?
Greenwood.
Phoebe Greenwood.
Kaelin Fairchild as I live and breathe. I haven't seen you since you danced all night with my Tom. I mean, he was going to be my Tom. I mean, eventually he was going to be my Tom. You understand that?
That was an excellent evening.
Well, for you it was. I guess for Tom it was. For me it was. For me it was mostly a very wet evening, as all I did was drink the punch.
I set the butter down on the table and walk over and put one hand on her shoulder and say, "Are we going to have this fight until the day we die?"
If we're lucky, it will end then.
And she just like throws her head back and laughs and says, "Well, then I'll see you in the afterlife about it."
She looks down at the tub of butter and looks up at you like, "What did you do? Wring out a cow on the way?"
I was told that you were in want of this by Olivia.
You have bread that needs butter, and we have need of your service on the ship.
I look over at Olivia and say, "Oh my goodness, did you mean butter her up?"
That is the exact turn of phrase.
You take things so literally sometimes, and I forget to question before we wind up in this exact situation.
I see. So you're to butter me up, which sounds like you want me to do something that I don't want to do. So we could just cut this short, and you can leave. You wanted that ginger that I was curing, right? You could take that on the way out.
A ship needs blessing. Your blessing specifically.
My blessing. What do you mean a ship needs blessing? Wait. Yes, I can cast a little weather charm if you're just gonna sail around the bay or something.
I'm not sure. This is what my grandfather has said.
Wait a minute, your grandfather said to do this? Did
Yes.
he mention things like salt and humiliation and need a witch?
That is the exact turn of phrase.
Oh, I hate when you say that.
Am
Okay.
I missing something with regard to this voyage, Olivia?
It is a whaling voyage, and it needs a blessing.
Well, that lands me about exactly where I thought I was when I inquired just now.
You you no, you don't mean the marriage of the land and the water. You couldn't possibly mean that. Could you?
I have a
Oh God.
feeling that whatever the worst possible interpretation you could come up with is, that is probably what she means.
Wow.
Likely.
Marriage of the land and water, that's that hasn't been done in a long time.
Do you require more butter?
No. I mean, if I was going to do it proper, the way great grandmother said to do, I would need a lot more blood. I don't know if we want to work that spell. Wow. Your grandfather wants me to do this.
Perhaps.
I think I'm more afraid of this than your grandfather.
How much blood do you need? I can give my blood. Certainly.
Well, I mean, it depends how authentic you want this to be. I mean, it used to involve human sacrifice if you were doing it really great. As far as I know, we never did anything like that, though. You know, some of my ancestors. let's just say that if there was an altar and a sacrificial knife and a dark room, I would not want to be in that room.
Phoebe, I assumed you were a witch.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, I'm a witch. I've got the charm. I've got the talent. I've been, but this is big magic. This is, I mean, well, we could use less blood if we had more, you know.
Variety?
Butter?
No, you know, when people enjoy themselves and,
Are you
eh,
telling me that this needs to be a right?
uh, your rituals are a Greenwood family tradition.
You know, okay. So, what is the purpose of the ritual that you think her grandfather wants you to do?
Well, it goes something like this. And Liv, I'm afraid I'm going to have to say something that you probably won't like to hear. But it goes something like this. People of the Salt are strong on the water. They've always been strong on the water. I mean, they don't need ships. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But as
You do?
time is...
Hmm?
Kaylin, I did not know that you knew.
One doesn't get to be the sort of
Cook?
pagan that I am without knowing a few things about the people that live in your town.
Continue, Phoebe.
Well, families, they come to live on the land more. They don't marry as often to the water lines, and the salt runs thin in their blood, and their magic gets weaker. When that happens, you can call upon other sources of magic. And here in Kingsport, the forest magic is still strong-ish. I mean, it's not as good as when Dunwich was only witches, but it's still up there. Still, if you do it on Kingsport Head with the right materials,
Mm-hmm.
like-minded people, and you ask for help from certain powerful dark gods, you can do quite a lot, actually. I mean, quite a lot.
Hmm.
Are you insulting the Pembletons?
I'm just saying that it is a thing that happens to salt families sometimes. Even in Innsmouth, they have families like this. Even in Innsmouth, they have people that cannot go to the water. It's an embarrassment for those families, but you know, they love their children, and it's all fine. And everything is fine. I'm sure your grandfather loves you, Olivia. Everybody loves everybody else. This is fine.
You're speaking a lot about your family.
Oh, my family are witches. They've been witches for a long time.
I would like to roll. I know your kin.
Oh, dear God. I'm going to be curious.
6 + 2 is 8. Yeah, you know that family's weakness. Oh! Wait, 10 plus, I know that family's secret, and then 7 to 9, I know that family's weakness. That's very interesting.
Yeah, that is kind of neat move, isn't it? Weakness. Oh, well, you thinking back on what your family traditions are, you realize that probably the other reason your father sent you this is that the Greenwoods owe some unspecified debt to the Pembleton family for wrongs that may have been done at some point or another a long time ago. And they're still working that off.
I understand. I do not understand your reservations, Phoebe. But yet historical debt must be paid. What is owed must be offered.
Oh no, not that again. Look. Damn it.
I do not wish to demand anything of you, Phoebe.
Yes, I know, or the parents will come and eat me in my bed or drown me in my washing or fine. Okay. I'll need the books. We'll have to talk to someone of the air, I think is how we used to put it. And I suppose you want, like, what, a blessing for the prospering of your voyage and
The blessing is to seek our goal.
well, that's not ominous at all. I'd be very careful about speaking it in that way around them of the air, Olivia.
I trust in your expertise.
Okay, great, great, great. No, no, I'll just, yeah, I'm gonna ring up the dark powers of the earth and say hi. My name's Viv. My name's Phoebes, and I need to cast some dark magic. Great. Okay. Um, I'm taking it you don't want me to go evil because you know what? I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna kill a bunch of people for your stupid boat. So just take that out. Looks like Kaylin here isn't that interested in the fun version.
I am
Who is Tom?
an old friend. I am very well interested in assisting in whatever way is necessary to make sure that the boat remains safe, given that I will be on it.
Well, okay, that could be a start. Maybe we could ask Tom to come by.
Phoebe, who is Tom?
She asked you?
Tom the blacksmith. He works. You know, he works on Federal Street. You know,
He's very tall.
those muscles in the firelight.
His eyes.
Ah, yeah, yeah. We were saying something.
Did you still want the butter?
Just a little. I guess you could take the rest. Did you churn this yourself, Galen?
I did.
Uh, maybe a little bit more than a little. All right, all right. Give me a week. I gotta do a lot of preparations. There's books I gotta go ask my grandmother for, and there's gonna be questions, and then recriminations, and then we're gonna then we'll move into the casting of charms and counter charms, and maybe all my hair will fall out again, and then we'll get to the actual casting.
That's all right. It always grows back for some reason fuller than before.
I sure hope so. All right, all right, all right. But you know, I'm gonna need help from this and not from people. So there may be prices that are gonna get paid by this. But you want it, I'll do it.
If you need blood, just send for me.
Yeah, okay. You know what? I'm writing that down on the card so I don't forget.
Kaylin?
Yes.
Shall we go see this Tom?
No, I don't believe that we need to visit Tom just now. Do you want some of this butter?
I believe we should go on the ship. Bark.
Not a bad idea.
And scene.
Yeah, that just happened.
Yep, did.
Apparently,
I partake in a lot of orgies.
I didn't say that. I said you danced with a dude one night. It was all above board.
The ritual is sex.
The ritual is sex. I feel like maybe we should have. We got about 10 minutes. Maybe have one last ensemble scene as you guys start to figure out what's going on and
Yeah.
Or do we have some ideas for things? I mean, you've got the new harpooners.
Yeah, I don't have any particular ideas.
Oh, let's hear from the other half of the table.
Yeah.
They got something.
You're muted, James.
Oh, nope.
There it goes.
There it is.
The only idea I had was maybe the four of us wondering collectively about the captain, but I didn't have other ideas other than that.
Maybe the last thing that happens is the captain shows up.
Get the kitty cats.
I
Kitty
actually, I'm almost interested in seeing what speculation there might be about the captain, because if it turns out I'm going to need to whip up an NPC for this, then this could be fun. So maybe you guys meet at a tavern.
Yeah, I think that's a good setting.
The
Classic.
terrible old man tavern near the waterfront.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Understand. What? Sorry.
The terrible old man tavern. Yeah, it's a reference I don't understand.
Yeah, so we're all just sort of sitting down talking about the voyage, I guess.
Is
So
Tom there?
Mr. Walk and I are hearing lots of talk among the crew about the captain. There's definite concern that no one has seen him set.
I don't know why it is such a concern that we haven't necessarily met the captain yet. Sometimes these things take time. People show up late. Travel being what it is. It's early spring and the roads are what they are.
Cool. All right. So by popular demand, Tom, I am so tempted to just go straight on and just do it. So I'm going to
Yeah,
do it.
do
Tom
it.
Brady, the
Great.
blacksmith, walks in. I'm indulging myself for this one. You know what? His shirt is torn. And he comes in like, wow, that horse dragged me halfway across the green. I've never seen a horse so shy of shoeing. Hello, Kalen.
She stands up. She's almost as tall as he is. Good evening, Tom. Let me buy you a drink.
What a pleasure that would be. Okay, so you two, yeah, we'll check in with you in a sec.
Yep.
Cool. So the rest of you are kind of maybe glancing at this, but the topic was the captain, wasn't it?
Yep. Just trying to control their concerns and keep everybody positive and focused on getting ready, but questions are being asked.
Yes,
It's not
I have
normal
heard.
for any vessel to be without a captain this close to sailing.
Yes, I've heard rumors of gangrene. Quite unpleasant.
Olivia, that makes no sense.
What does? Gangrene?
In reference to the captain, I do not believe that we will be hiring a captain and gangrene together. I don't understand that.
Yes, that is why it is a rumor that I have heard.
Mm-hmm.
I am not stating it as fact, but I have heard it ascertained that it is because of gangrene that the captain, the good captain, is thus delayed.
Your grandfather, I don't believe, would would hire somebody that has been stricken, that is not healthy enough. I have been assured that your grandfather had this under control. Is that not true?
Oren, do not argue with me. If you have an issue, you may take it to my grandfather.
I didn't think he was arguing with you.
Perfect. Then we shall continue with tasting this beer.
Would you like some butter with your bread?
Yes, please.
So, Oren, what do you think the reason for the captain's delay is?
I think that the captain is. I don't think that there is a captain yet. I think that they're looking for a captain that can handle what is expected to come when they reach that point at the end.
That would make a lot of sense. That's very sane. So it's probably even more sinister than that. And yeah, James, do you have any speculation on the captain? Do you have a likely candidate in mind?
I have no candidate, but my suspicion is that given the nascent nature of the whaling industry here, that they've had to go to Nantucket or elsewhere to get a captain. So I think travel and time have turned out to be their enemies. This was a especially harsher winter, and travel between the cities and the towns is taking a bit longer than normal.
Very cool. Cool. All right. Yeah, I almost feel like the end credit scene would be a carriage rattling into town with like the blinds drawn and black horses, and we'll leave it at that. What the ominous soon coming of the captain might be, and I'll think about what I might need to do.
The smell
I
of
mean,
gangrene.
yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, they asked Ahab. He's like, "Nah, man, I got a whole other thing. I got a whole other thing I'm doing. Sorry. Normally I'd be okay with it, but I got this whole other vengeance thing. I've got to decide if I can punch God in the face. So, cool. Thank you all very much. This was a very fair launching, I think.